Hey, so I heard you wanted to learn about birds, so I have a whole ton of books here. You can read them, learn about birds. No thanks, man. I read this one book. It's 50 pages, but it has everything you need to know about birds. Hello. I've been learning Japanese for a little while now. I've been learning it for a couple months. Quite a few months now, actually. I have a 108-day streak, I want to say, on Duolingo. So I do like the app, and I think it's really fun, and I just have to say, even before I start this, I do think it's a good app. It's super fun, and I like keeping a streak because it just keeps me reminded and keeps me going back to it. However, there are a lot of problems, and in this video I'll just be talking about some of the pros and cons of it. So, first of all, when you're going to learn an Asian language, obviously I'm doing Japanese, but this is pretty common with other Asian languages because they show a lot of the same things that Duolingo haven't been checking and just making sure they're consistent and right. And one of the big things is with formalities. So they will have a casual word with a formal word, which doesn't make sense and doesn't fit together in the same sentence. If you use the wrong one, it can be seen as quite disrespectful and not very nice. So it is important to try and use the right one. The problem with Duolingo is they will use them, they don't explain what they are. I've never seen anything explaining the difference between the formal and casual words, even though it's quite a simple thing really. This word's formal, this word's casual, but they make them seem like they just mean the same thing and they're interchangeable when they are not. They are used for different situations and different context. They're not necessarily the same. So that is quite a frustrating thing, and I get that they're trying to simplify it for beginners because they don't want to throw all this stuff at them. But at the same time, you are teaching them bad habits, and they're going to learn that these are interchangeable, that they just mean the same thing, instead of understanding that there are different words for a reason. Do they not have people who fluently speak this language checking this stuff? Because there's some more stuff that I'll talk about later, and it's just who is checking this? Because this is not right. And I've not even been doing Japanese for that long, so for me to see it and know that this is wrong, it's not very good. In saying that, one of the main comments I saw was that people would just be like, oh, well, it's too repetitive. And I'd be like, that's one thing that I am on their side. That's the point, that it's repetitive so that you remember what you're actually saying. So it sinks in, becomes muscle memory. But going back to the other part, you're then teaching them the muscle memory for the wrong things. But it's a lot more difficult to pick that up after. Definitely is confusing at first. But once you get past that concept, it's going to be so much easier to learn everything else after it. Actually. As well as the fact that they're just not sentences you would use in real life. I'm not going to walk up to someone and be like, Bengoshi desu. Do Duolingo think that's one of the necessary words to learn? She's a lawyer? Do you think that's necessary? I think there's a couple of things we could have learned before that. There's a bunch of stuff, even sensei and teacher, and I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But some of the words they throw out are just you could just be where's the bathroom? Or I'm lost, or where to go, or I don't know, stuff like that. Stuff that might actually be useful for beginners, so you simplify it. But then you're throwing in this extra stuff that we don't actually need, so it's just
are you trying to simplify it or not?
what are you thinking? What's going on? One of my favourite things I heard while researching, although most of this is just my opinion from using it for over 100 days now, but one of my favourite things I heard, because I also wanted to, Google and find some other opinions about it, was something referring to the multi-choice stuff. I enjoy that because it's easy, and at the end of the day you can just guess. It was said by Multilingual Mastery, I believe. I'll stick the video up somewhere I watched it. It was a really good video. I would recommend going to watch it. She basically said something like, we're not Sims, so if you go up and talk to someone who's fluently speaking that language, you're not gonna pop up with a ton of questions of options to say, like, and she didn't say this part, but the second someone goes off script, you'll not even know, even if they're saying essentially the same thing, but it's just the formal version or something, you're just stuck, and you're just gonna freeze. It's not teaching you how to learn other ways to do it, if that makes sense. And I get they want to simplify it, okay, but at the same time teaching you bad habits. Basically, because in Japanese, so when you're saying like what food you're ordering, or depending on what you buy or how many people you have, the number actually changes. So when you get to the ordering food section of the Japanese, it's actually not right, because it has a very like, this word means this thing and you just keep it as that. When you're teaching people how to order food, even that you're teaching them how to do it wrong, and it's quite frustrating. I have to say that my favorite part, Duolingo, my favorite part in Japanese is learning the hiragana, katakana, and kanji. That was my favorite part, although I wouldn't worry about kanji too much. So if you don't know, Japanese essentially have 3 alphabets, and you can go through all of them, practice them. They'll have you like practice writing them and stuff, and it's really good. And I do recommend just getting out paper or something and actually handwriting them as well. That would just help you memorize them. There are also other things, like I really recommend just doing more. Like I have these little flashcards you can't really see, but these are for hiragana. I haven't made the ones for katakana yet. I will get onto that at some point. I need to master the hiragana before I chuck in another one, or it's gonna be too much. But I did really like that section. It was really helpful. Once you learn those alphabets, it's gonna be so much easier to do everything else. Basically, you'll just be able to read and pronounce pretty much anything. You might not necessarily know what it means, but you'll be able to say it and read it. And then once you learn that, it's just sticking a word in with that. And it becomes a lot more simple and like kind of cuts out that other bit of not knowing what it is at all. So you know what that symbol says, all you have to do is stick a little word next to it, and then it gets a lot easier just to process things after that. And like I do have to say, I don't think it's bad or anything. Like I think it's good, I think it's fun, and it really just depends what your goal is, I guess. Like I really wanted to learn Japanese more fluently, so I've just tried to use a lot of other resources, my own research and stuff, as well as using Duolingo, because I'm not saying you can't use it or it's just useless. I think it is good and can teach you some vocabulary and stuff. However, I do think just by itself it's not ideal, and I think you're gonna just not understand completely what you're talking about, especially for Asian languages, although it has been seen as a problem with other ones as well. I'm just speaking about this specifically because that's the main thing I've seen about it, and the main thing that I've personally dealt with as well with learning Japanese. So I guess honestly, you're never gonna become fluent just using Duolingo, and just keep that in mind, I guess. Anyway, bye. And I hope everyone had a Merry Belschnickel. You can't really say it's a Dwight shirt. Dwight K. Schrute. And I hope you had a great Christmas as well. Or if you don't celebrate, still hope you had a good day.